Councilman Taylor?
Here.
Councilman Whalen?
Here.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Here.
Councilman Ballard? Councilman Zipperich?
Here.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Councilman Ballard is not in this evening. He's excused. Unfortunately, his mother passed away the past few days ago, and he is with his family. We extend our condolences to Michael as well as the rest of the members of his family, and recall fondly that we all had the pleasure of meeting Mrs. Ballard on January 1st for reorganization, and I recall how proud she was of her son and his accomplishments and his civility, and how he paid tribute to her on New Year's Day, and I thought that was an extraordinary message to send. And I'm sure that we all mourn the family. So that's why Councilman Ballard is not here this evening. Sunshine Statement, please.
Let the minutes reflect that in compliance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act, the notice of this meeting has been provided by notifying the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and the Star Ledger, placing a notice on the bulletin board and filing the same with the Borough Clerk on January 1, 2018.
Thank you. There's just a housekeeping item. On the printed agenda is an ordinance for public hearing and final adoption. That would be ordinance 2018-02. Earlier in the week, after consultation with the borough attorney, I had instructed the clerk to advise and put on a public notice that that particular ordinance, which is the so-called puppy mill ordinance, will not be entertained this evening, will not be considered this evening. It will be on the agenda for March 14th at 6:30 p.m. So the council is still deliberating on the terms and conditions of that, as well as the overall policy objective, and no discussion will be had by the council this evening. It'll, in all likelihood, be, as a matter of fact, it will be reintroduced on March 14th. So no action this evening. March 14th is the date that should be calendared for those individuals who have an interest in that particular ordinance. Now, moving on, is there a motion to suspend the regular order of business? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have a number of wonderful fun parts of the council agenda to do this evening. And the first is we want to welcome one of our dazzling, eligible ladies in the audience this evening, and that is Edith Blake. And Edith is celebrating her 100th birthday. I know you have two escorts here tonight, because I know that there's some gentlemen out there who want to go dancing with you. And they're going to be looking out for you tonight. But Mrs. Blake, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us again, and to have you being part of our community, and for the wisdom that you have given to not only your family members, but the grace of your life that you've shared with a lot of your neighbors. You are an extraordinary woman, and if I only knew what you drank, then I'll start drinking it right away, because I want to get to be 100 also. So we have Councilman Yingstrom, who is our liaison to the Senior Center, to present you with an award. She can stay seated.
All right, so we just wanted to present you with the certificate of celebration for your 100th birthday. You already got a proclamation from us, but this is signed by the mayor. We just want to congratulate you and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I love you too. We're going to go out later, right?
And we actually have one more thing from the State Senate and General Assembly.
Senator and Assemblyman Hotel, as well as Senator Gopal. Can you want to go first?
Yeah, happy birthday, and you look better than probably everybody in this room. On behalf state legislature, we want to wish you a very happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
You are just amazing looking, and congratulations to you reaching 100. Today we had the opportunity to speak to a lot of kindergarten kids, and I hope we inspired them to get into politics. And I hope one day when I get to be 100, one of them will hand me a certificate of getting to 100. So I want to congratulate you and keep up the good work. And whatever it is you're drinking, I like to have a little bit of it.
Red Bank water. Thank you, everybody, and I love all of you.
Just a plug for our Red Bank Senior Citizen Center.
Yeah, they do good work, right, Jack?
The Senior Center does a great work. We are not only the Red Bank Senior Center, but I want to remind our neighbors that we are the center for a lot of our neighboring communities. And it's a place of joy, it's a place of warmth, it's a place where people share lives, seniors and those not so senior. They actually welcome young people there also to interact. And we probably will start a pet program with the Senior Center very soon. We have a wonderful animal rights committee, and I'm sure that they can make suggestions on pets at the Senior Center if Jackie will permit, and that will be another component. So thank you for being with us. And thank you, Jackie, for what you do with the Senior Center. We are extraordinarily honored to have State Senator Ben Gopal as well as Assemblyman Eric O'Towling with us this evening. And they are here for two presentations. So, all right, Senator and Assemblyman, I'll turn it over to you right now.
Wanted to start with somebody that I know that the borough has already honored, but we thought it would be fitting and proper that the state of New Jersey, on behalf of Senate President Steve Sweeney and Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin, recognize Stanley Sickles for nearly 40 years of service to the borough of Red Bank, for his love of this town, for being a passionate Nittany Lions supporter as well. That helps. But on behalf of the state of New Jersey, Stanley, thank you for everything you did for this beautiful town of Red Bank.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that I've had many at retirement here. The council is very generous and all the people that have wished me well, but I think I was remiss. When I started here in June of '79, I met a young secretary of Public Works, and my first date was in October. I proposed in December and we were married the following June. So if there's anybody I can credit for keeping me straight and helping me in this path of serving the borough of Red Bank, it's my wife, Don. And not to mention my kids, too. I wouldn't have them if it wasn't for her. Thank you.
Stanley, you left out one equation in that story, and we all know the story, and that is she was an extraordinary secretary in the building, and she had just started working for us. And I have every confidence that had you not proposed to her, she would have been our administrator today. You would have been working for her. Senator, now we have, before we make the presentation, just one little reference. We are here this evening with Chief DeFazio, as well as his wonderful family. I know Kathy is here, and Lori and her family, as well as Diana and her family. And little Thomas Peter is here, munching away, and members of Relief Engine Company. And we're here to make a presentation because Every man and woman who's a member of the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department devotes a Herculean amount of time and energy and personal sacrifice for their neighbor. The way the chief system in the volunteer fire department works is that a company chooses one of its officers for the position of chief, and they go through essentially 3 years of training as second deputy chief, first deputy chief, and then they are elected to the chief. So that's 3 years of a lot of time and energy and service to others. And a lot of people are pretty well tired after the first round of being a chief, because it's not just chief for 1 year, but you're actually a chief for 3 years where you're on call 7 days a week, every single day of the year, and you don't get paid. Peter DeFazio was a chief initially in 1987 and served with our former administrator when he was a chief, and served with other chiefs in the department, but he served as chief of the department in 1987. In 1993, through no design or no plan of Peter DeFazio or his family, a sad event took place, and a great friend of Peter's was former Chief David Allen, who was also a chief out of Relief Engine Company. And David was a young man full of energy and enthusiasm, and was well loved by not only his company, but by the other companies in the department. And we were all looking forward, I was the commissioner at the time, we were all looking forward for his term as chief. And regrettably, the Creator had a different plan. David became ill, and unfortunately, he died rather quickly. And the company was at a loss. They could have passed their term as chief, or they could have chosen another member from that company to replace David Allen, knowing how much time and work it would take. And when the company went to Peter DeFazio and they said, you know, can you do it? Would you do it? And he, I think, fought 30 seconds and he goes, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it because not only am I devoted to this company and this town, but he wanted to do it in memory of his friend David Allen, Chief Allen, who passed away. And there was an extraordinary mark of loyalty and family connection that company in this department has always had. So he went through another term as chief and got all the calls, got all the complaints, and very little reward. His reward was that he knew that he did the right thing.
Right.
And it didn't pay. But his reward will come in the future. But then we go to 2017. Well, he didn't have enough with 2 terms, and when the call came for someone to serve again from Relief Engine Company for another 3-year term as chief, Peter went through the gamut again, became second deputy, first deputy, and chief in 2017. I tried to talk him out of it. He wasn't listening to me. He's a headstrong, dedicated guy. He knows what he wants, and he gets it. I've had the pleasure of knowing Peter most of my life in Red Bank. He was late mother. His late mother fell at my house during one of my birthday parties, and she didn't sue me. I know all of Peter's family, and I enjoyed like a family member when his first grandchild was born, even though it doesn't look like him. Thank God. His care for this town should be reflected in the fact that he is the only person in the almost 140-year history of the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department. In 140 years, there's never been an individual who has served 3 terms. He is the one and only person who has done that. And I thought it'd be an appropriate time for us to commemorate that landmark. And Peter, we have a plaque for you, and we will also be installing a plaque on borough facilities at the appropriate time. But I thought that it would be appropriate for the greater community. I know we said some nice words about you at the fire chief as well as award center, but for the greater community to know what it really has meant to us. And if we had to pay for what you did, we would not be able to afford it. Assemblyman Hotaling, I know, also represents other towns in our district who have a paid department. And he can tell you, as I can tell the public, how much it costs that the Borough of Red Bank saves by your department's volunteer services. I know the Commissioner joins me in expressing our deep appreciation on behalf of the entire council and the residents for everything that you've done. This is for you to take home. We'll keep the other one and put it up. No, not the... Commissioner. You sure? Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to go first? Or? I'd just like to say, I was going to say to my committee report, but obviously 2 weeks ago we had the annual fire department dinner where Chief DeFazio was recognized for his service, as the mayor just eloquently said. I would just like to thank Pete. People like you are the reason why the Red Bank Fire Department is strong. That's why we stay volunteer service. To the mayor's point, we're not some of these towns that are going to paid because we have strong volunteers who build it into their families, into their generations, like the DeFazio family with his entire children and extended family are volunteers. To the people like Stanley Sickles, to our current administration, we are very blessed in Red Bank to have a volunteer service, and it starts with the mold and the foundation that you've set decades ago. So thank you again. That was an incredible dinner, and we look forward to the years to come with the volunteer service. Thank you.
No, I think I speak too much.
Well, we'd just like to congratulate you, not only for being chief again this year, but your commitment to your community. How many times you have put your life on your line for the residents of this township, and all that you have done for probably everybody in this room. It's a remarkable career, and as an assembly member, from time to time we get to do a lot of good things like this, recognizing people that have committed to the community and all the great things you have done. We wish you continued success here in Red Bank. And I want to say congratulations.
35 years on the police force. Congratulations, Chief, on behalf of everyone keeping this town beautiful, everything you've done, 1987, 93, and now. It really just shows a remarkable commitment to everybody in this room. So thank you on behalf of the New Jersey State Legislature.
Thank you.
There's not much to say that hasn't already been said, but I'd like to thank the mayor and council for the support they've given me through all the terms. And especially thank my wife because she had to put up with me. My daughters were born while I was chief. One was born while I was chief in '87, and the other was born as soon as I got out of office in '88. But between the family and the mayor and council, thank you.
And your grandson was born while you were chief.
My grandson was born last year, right?
I'm the chronologer of the family.
You are. You did a great job. Let's all get a picture together. How about that? Aaron.
Congratulations.
Hey, Ben. Would you mind being in a picture of you? Can we get a picture with you? Yeah. All right. There you go. Yep. There you go. All right.
One, two, three. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to see you. I'm going to come to Red Bank. See you soon. You don't have to stick around.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to resume the regular order of business? So moved. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? For workshop, because of the illness of finance, not the illness, because of the absence of the finance chair, because of the death in the family, we will skip over the 2018 budget update, and that will be presented on March 14th. There is also a recommendation regarding the appointment of a health insurance broker. Joe, are you going to address that?
Well, I'll be happy to. The Finance and Personnel Committee interviewed all of the companies that responded to a RFP issued by the borough. And as a result of their interviews, they recommended to the full Iron Council the appointment of Fairview as the health insurance broker for the borough.
Any questions by anyone? Okay, so that'll be put on, as a matter of fact, that is Resolution 1857, unless anybody has an objection. Next is a request to issue RFP for grants consultant. Just a little bit of a background, I think we mentioned this some time ago, and that is in the past, the grant applications and writing have been done essentially on a ad hoc basis and mostly through our borough engineer at the time. Initially, I recall it was done through Shore and Palma, then ultimately T&M, and then Mazer a little bit, and now CME. The problem is that although I think they do a great job, there are literally thousands of grants in different fields that are available for municipalities and regional entities to apply for and get the benefit of those grants. And normally, when municipalities rely upon their engineers to do it, they do a good job, but they normally focus on engineering-related issues. The smarter municipal action plan by larger and smaller municipalities, I can think of smaller ones than Red Bank, but certainly larger ones, is to put out an RFP, which we are doing, to get qualified individuals to respond to whether they have an interest in going out and being a grants consultant and grants writer and ultimately producer of grants from these hundreds and thousands of different sources that are all on a computer basis. So Red Bank and the residents will be the beneficiaries of those particular grants. I can tell you that it's been done very successfully in even adjacent communities. And so it's not that the borough has not been paying for the grant writing services in the past. We have. It's just been cushioned through the engineering account, and it's limiting, it has in the past limited our available resources. And it was thought, let's go out and see what professionals there are out there who do this on a regular, full-time basis, and if they are successful in getting the grants, that's how the remuneration would be through the grants. And that person at least would open up a whole new avenue of all sorts of available grants and things that sometimes our engineers did not think of. So unless there's an objection, we'll put out the RFP and see what comes back.
No, Mayor, I thank you for your comments. I think this is a really good opportunity for us to look at what else is available out there, you know, as we work on our budget and look forward to getting some additional financials incoming to the borough.
So do we want to add a resolution or from the floor? Yeah. We'll just do it at the end, okay? We'll just do it. All right, other than that, that's all we have for workshop that I have anyhow. Approval of the minutes for February 14, 2018, motion, second. All in favor? There are no appointments this evening. Reports, Mayor and Council Committee members. Ed?
Thank you, Mayor. The Red Bank Historic Preservation Commission met last Tuesday with Director Carter. And helped the staff walk through an updated historic preservation ordinance that we've been working on for the last couple of months. And the commission is going to do some further review in conjunction with the historic preservation attorney. The Department of Public Utilities Committee met last week with all supervisors, the director, Joe Hartnett, the engineer. We discussed the 17 and 18 road program, the ongoing well project, updates to the water meter project where there are fewer than 400 meters that remain in town to be replaced, so we're making headway there. Discussion of reverse or irrigation meters also took place, in addition to a discussion about building a permanent facility to replace our 20-year-old temporary trailers. Discussion also ensued with ideas being exchanged on how to approach a solution to that issue. Last Wednesday, Councilman Ballard and I participated in Reading Fortune at the Red Bank Public Library. It was an exceptional evening celebrating Black History Month and keeping the voice of one of Red Bank's most noted former residents alive. Congratulations to the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center and Linda Hewitt at the library for an event that was really well done. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Kathy.
No report.
Thank you. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regard to Parks and Rec, we have our first meeting for our Marine Park consultants on March 21st, which will be right here in this building, in this room actually. It's the first of 4 public sessions with Kimley Horn. Everyone's invited to attend and share their feedback about what they want in the future of Marine Park. Kimley Horn will be facilitating the conversations with all the public. We'll have 2 sessions that day actually, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. and then the second one from 7 to 9 p.m. if anybody can't make it to the first one. A few things upcoming are the CPR class is March 10th. It's held by the fire department in conjunction with the Parks and Rec department. That'll be at the First Aid building, so a few spots are still available. The egg hunt will be held on Saturday, March 24th at 2 p.m. And registration is underway for a spring break trip to Jenkinson's Aquarium on Wednesday, April 4th. One thing regarding the parking RFP, the parking study RFP was released on February 20th. The proposals are due by April 3rd at 11 a.m. Once all are submitted, we'll narrow it down to about 1 or 2 applicants within 20 days and bring them for a face-to-face meeting to see who we really want to choose. We'll provide you updates as the process moves along. And finally, I'd like to pay recognition to the Shade Tree Committee. I wanted to thank them for all their hard work, and especially Bill Brooks, who, while walking around town, identified 2 very large and hazardous trees on Tower Hill Ave. As a result of his efforts, the borough was able to get these hazardous trees down before anything could happen. So I wanted to thank them for all their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. As you'll see in the first off, I want to thank Councilman Yingstrom for the Parks and Rec jumping on that CPR class. Last year we had the first CPR class and went very, very well. And so we're looking forward to doing another year of it, more participants. So appreciate you guys jumping on board. It's a good collective event that 2 different committees are coming together. So that'll be a good one. And then you'll also see the first ordinance, the 2018-06, which is the Red Bank Revised Chapter 64 of the Fire Department. I would just ask during the public session, Mayor, that we can have Greg and Stu come up for about 30 seconds each for a quick overview. One's from the Executive Council, and one's obviously the current chief, just to give a little overview for the council very, very quickly. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. The Code Committee met last Thursday. We discussed a number of topics, some old, some new. We're addressing some things that Stanley's left the room. We were discussing potential for heaters in the streets, so we can maybe move forward. We also discussed changes to the sign ordinance. We are pretty close to a final draft on that. We just need to make some final changes and then present that to the council. Last night, the EC, Creative Team, and Green Team all had a collaborative joint meeting. So that was really good. We're all basically focused on the Red Bank Earth Day Expo, which is scheduled not on Earth Day. It's scheduled on 4/21, which is a Saturday. and a rain date of 4/29. We're going to have a number of events. It'll be right here at Borough Hall in the parking lot, and we're working on a flyer to get the word out a little bit better, and I'll have more details, and I'll share more of that in the future briefing. We also put in our app for the water coolers that I spoke about at the last meeting. Our application went in yesterday, and we are very hopeful because of our Sustainable Jersey certification. In fact, we've never received any grant money from Sustainable Jersey for this type of program before. That's what they look for as far as granting. So we're fingers crossed at this point. We were actually awarded for another application that we submitted for volunteers to do a community project. We're going to get about 20 volunteers from TCNJ to help us do some revitalization to Eastside Park and the community garden. And that'll be taking place on March 24th. That's it.
Thank you, Mark. No other reports? Moving on to communications and petitions, there are none. Do any members of the public have any questions with respect to any ordinance? There's only one that is being introduced this evening, or any resolutions on the council agenda this evening for clarification. Ms. Martin.
Good evening. Cindy Burnham, 71 Wallace Street, Red Bank, New Jersey, 07701. I have a question with Resolution 18-56. You all see that? To remodel or redesign Eastside Park and Mohawk Pond. What are you thinking? I mean, how can these parks be redesigned? Why are we thinking about this?
It's not a redesign, it's improvements, so let's let Councilman Yingstrom address it because he's having some discussions on that.
Yeah, so the scope of these designs are stabilization of Mohawk Pond because of the retaining walls that are failing.
The riprap?
Yeah.
That fails?
Yeah, we have to stabilize those walls, and then on the east side parks, we're going to be adding a bathroom facility, we're going to be adding a path, and we're going to be redoing the concrete around the baseball field.
Okay, you know nobody wants that bathroom. It's a neighborhood park, and who wants to live across from a public bathroom? Okay, just letting you know. I mean, I honestly, I know, you know, when we did Bellhaven, we spent over $1 million doing Bellhaven, and we had to pay T&M for all that work, and it ended up, nothing happened, you know. Oh yeah, we took out a bond for $600,000, and there was a lot more.
That wasn't just for Bellhaven.
Yes, it was. I didn't bring the paperwork,
Okay,
Pat.
we'll talk about it.
Trust me. Okay. And then I know you reapplied this year for Bellhaven, but got denied. So all these applications are going to T&M and at the taxpayer's expense. So then after Bellhaven got denied, then you guys moved over to, I'm seeing a pattern. That's why I'm asking. You go over to Sunset. And again, you know, grants get written, and that's also T&M, and soil testing, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And that's money for T&M at the taxpayer's expense. Then I see CME, you know, is doing the consulting work for Marine Park. So CME is getting money for writing these grants and these RFPs out. And now I see, you know, Eastside Park. Now I spoke to the people around Eastside Park today, and they love their park the way it is. They think that, you know, the fact that you put in the sprinklers was wonderful. But, I mean, if we have all this money to improve Eastside Park and Mohawk Pond, because I don't believe that Mohawk Pond needs to be, I think that riprap is in there. People just don't take care of it. We just don't take care of our parks. I hate to say it. I love the guys, but we don't. That maybe that money could be better used, is kind of what I'm saying here. Maybe infrastructure, like the people on Harrison Avenue said, we don't want the park redone. You know, take that money and put it into infrastructure, or give us more waterfront access or something like that. So I would just say, or give the taxpayers a break. Give us a payback or something. I mean, do something, you know, if you've got this kind of extra money, which I didn't know that Red Bank had, I just think that it would be better used for another purpose. That's just what I wanted to say.
I will take a look at it closely. I just wanted to clarify one thing, and I agree with you that we should give Red Bankers more and better waterfront access. We don't give them enough waterfront access. So the whole linchpin, the whole idea of what you voted for when you were on the council, and I thank you for your vote, was when we acted on the Sunset Avenue Reclamation Project. That was a hundreds of thousands of dollars that is being devoted to cleaning up and reclaiming a 6-acre, essentially dump, which is what it was, to make it available for our residents for waterfront access and for beautification and for parks. I just want to clarify one thing. By the way, I thank you for supporting it because we all supported it. But what I wanted to clarify is that, yes, hundreds of thousands of dollars are being used for testing, purification, because the state-of-the-art has to be used according to DEP standards. Every penny of that is being paid for by the state through DEP. So yes, we are spending a lot of money there, but
we're spending it on the grants to the engineers.
Oh, yeah, but if we didn't use it, Homedale would have gotten it, or Shrewsbury or Middletown would have gotten it at Chris's Landing. So I think that, I appreciate your comments, we have to be very careful, but that is one thing that I think we're doing in a positive direction, but it's not that we are paying for it. We're all taxpayers, but the state is paying for it, and my point is that if we didn't take it, somebody else would have, and we would have been left with a 6-acre dump,
Well,
right next to where people live.
Okay, well, the Bellhaven thing,
Yeah.
you know, was crazy, and now it's back again. You guys applied for it again, and I know you got
I
denied.
think we learned our lesson on Bellhaven, and I think we're watching it very closely. I know Eric is very concerned about past history. We're not going to repeat past history.
Thank God. Don't put it out to
Cindy,
bid.
Cindy, I just wanted to address your concern, because you know, for the years that we served together, you had often said that, you know, we're paying the engineers a lot of money to go out and do these grant applications and so on and so forth. But I think that was the reason that we introduced a grant consultant.
That was good.
During the workshop portion, so that we pull away from giving that to the engineering firms, and we have another entity who's willing to go out and do that work for us.
Well,
And you know, in support of your ongoing commentary about giving all of that work to the engineers over the years.
What's the difference between a consultant? Like, what would a grant consultant be?
Maybe I can address that.
Okay.
A grants consultant, unlike an engineer, is somebody who knows where to look for in terms of either federal, state, or even not-for-profit and foundations that have monies available that under their charter or under their federal or state regulations have to reinvest in communities in all sorts of different projects. And so what this grant consultant would do, and you know, they do it all the time, is they look at each federal and state department, each foundation that has the availability, and if there are monies available, we'll put us in the pipeline for those funds.
So we won't be using the engineers as much, or we still will be using engineers?
No, the whole purpose is to not make it specific for an engineering issue. If we're a community, and all these things,
And we should have a
the arts
grant
are part
writer.
of the community.
So that's
Right. I agree. I think that's a good move.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
We heard you over the years.
Oh, my God. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You left your imprint, what can I say?
Hi, Steve Viscomi, 25 Cedar Place. Just a fast follow-up on the 1856. When I read it, I didn't see a dollar value or a range of how much we're going to spend, or I just wanted to get an idea. Do we know how much the proposal is? Is it going to be a bond, or?
Well, we bonded for it last year already. The bond's in place. The estimated fees are about $84,000 for the design of the park.
Mr. Forrest.
I just wanted to comment on the East Side Park business. Actually, I think it's a good idea to have bathrooms at these places, because I don't live over there, so when I go to an event on East Side Park, all due respect, Cindy, it's kind of nice to have some place where you can relieve yourself if you need to relieve yourself. And I think it's a bad idea not to have parks, facilities at places where we have extended events, because it's not, you don't want people doing their business without some sort of facility there, which is, of course, happens. And so I hope that you do have a facility or some way of dealing with those sort of things when you go to Easter egg hunts or whatever it is. So that's my only comment.
Thank you. Anybody else on any agenda items? If not, move to close. Second. All in favor? Okay, as previously indicated, ordinance 2018-02 is not considered this evening. That'll be reintroduced on March 14th. There are no appointments this evening. Resolutions by consent unless there is, what's that? Oh, that's right, first, pardon me. I'm skipping too fast, I'm looking at the clock. Ordinance for first reading is ordinance 2018-06, an ordinance to amend and supplement the code of the Borough of Red Bank to revise chapter 64 regarding the fire department. And this is what Councilman Whalen had previously indicated. There were meetings between the Executive Council, members of Relief Engine Company, and the current Chief's Administration, myself, and Commissioner Whalen. And I believe what we have before us this evening is a proposed resolution that addresses the reality of the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department in that we are merging towards a more unified body, but will recognize individual companies. And, Chief Jensen, you can address it since that could have been under agenda items anyhow. So I know that the commissioners indicated you wanted to address this.
Sure. Do I need a microphone?
Yes, please. You're a mild-spoken man, Stuart.
Except when things get hot.
No pun intended.
Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner. Really what to say about this is the department embarked upon a path of consolidation several years back, starting with the closure of one firehouse over on White Street and another one over on Mechanic Street, and moving those departments into common housing. And then we dropped one apparatus from our inventory from the fire equipment and moved that to the west side of town. And it kind of left one company, I regret to say, in a limbo state. And the question was, how do we continue this consolidation, but recognize the company and recognize the members, and not just their service, but their the generations of service in that company, to preserve it as a support organization with a historical designation and a historical mission for preservation of history with the department, which keeps it as a continuing entity, not a firefighting entity, but a continuing entity. And then the provision also makes allowances for the members, which was previously prohibited, to join not only that company or retain their membership in that company, but also join an active firefighting company if they wish to continue their firefighting activities. Many will, some won't, but that mechanism is now permitted for them to do it. And it also allows members of the rest of the department the opportunity to join with the Relief Historical Company and contribute in that regard. So from a preservation and honor and recognition of the service, I think it does a good job in that respect. And for me, as chief of the department, from an operational and command structure standpoint, it makes things a lot cleaner. So I'm very happy with it if there's any questions that we have in the field.
Chief, does the president of the executive council want to say anything?
You have anything on?
The chief has summarized it.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think the
Greg,
chief,
we can't pick you up. You got to stop. And Greg, I know that most of the members know who you are, but please identify yourself for the record.
Greg Oliva, I'm president of executive council for the fire department. I think Chief Jensen covered it pretty much in and of itself. We're working towards a consolidation effort with the fire department to save costs and streamline and unify services for the borough. And it's something I put in process in 2015 with transfers of apparatus, and I think we've all come to an amicable solution, and it's the best thing for the department at this time.
Any other agenda items on this ordinance while we have it up? Okay. After that clarification, is there a motion to introduce, Commissioner?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. And again, the bad news is that fire departments throughout the entire state of New Jersey, because of changing circumstances and times, are going through extraordinary challenges, volunteer fire departments, that is. And we live in a changing environment, and also demographics are not what they were 40 years ago. That's the bad news, because challenges are never easy and change is never easy. The good news is that we still have a very vibrant, very active, very committed fire department, available members that will work out our challenges as we've done here this evening. So thank you all for your commitment. Thank you, Commissioner, for your help.
Mayor, if I could just add two quick sentences on that. I just want to thank also the members of Relief who are here tonight. I know over the last couple of years this hasn't been the easiest of discussions, the easiest of solutions. I know it's something very emotional because many of your members have served for decades and decades in the department, like Chief DeFazio himself was from Relief. And I just want to thank you, and I hope you will, hope you understand now as we've come together to realize that we're to preserve Relief and the history, as well as try to strengthen and consolidate the department to make sure the Red Bank Fire Department volunteers can continue to thrive and to continue to serve Red Bank. So looking at it from a macro aspect, this is the best thing for the department. I want to thank Chief Stu Jensen as well. You know, me and you came in this together when the discussions first came back up to the front burner, and it's been a kind of a crazy last almost 3 years now in dealing with this, but I want to thank you, and we're seeing this through, and your commitment and your dedication. I look forward to having another great year, and I want to thank again Relief for coming out, and hopefully we'll come together, and hopefully you'll, now with these changes, Josh will be joined Westside Hose, and everyone now can join other houses to be active firemen while still having the honor of staying at Relief. So I want to thank the mayor, everybody else, and hopefully this is a home run and a win for the borough and the future of the department. Thank you.
Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. All in favor? The public hearing will be on March 14th at 6:30 p.m. Going back to the consent agenda, unless there's any objection, consent by consent, resolutions 1851 through and including 53. Is there a motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 1854, authorizing tax appeal settlements regarding MPI Holdings for 8110 Riverside Avenue. That is the Molly Pitcher. Motion? Second. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 1855 is a resolution based upon our assessor's recommendation of authorizing a tax appeal settlement regarding OPI Holdings at 146 Bottom Place, which is the Oyster Point Hotel. Motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 1856, authorizing the borough engineer to design Mohawk Pond and Eastside Park improvements pursuant to the December 12, 2017 specification letter by CME Associates. Motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 1857, awarding contract to Fairview Insurance for health insurance brokerage services. Motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? There are no proclamations. Before we get to payment of vouchers, we're going to go to Resolution 1858, which is a resolution to authorize the borough clerk to issue a request for proposals for a grant consulting service to submit proposals for the borough of Red Bank for calendar year 2018. So motion? Second. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Payment of vouchers. Be it resolved by the mayor and council, the bills be paid according to the check registry totaling $4,950,551.53. Motion? So moved. Second. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any old business? Any new business? Audience? No audience? Okay. Move to close the audience portion. So moved. We are going to have to retire before we adjourn to executive session for the discussion of potential litigation. No action will be taken on that potential litigation this evening, So we will be discussing it internally, and then we will be coming back out and adjourning, so no action will be taken. We want to thank you all for coming. Is there a motion to adjourn to executive session? Second? All in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Mark, can I